I'm honored that a knight such as you takes an interest in me.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Of course. Ask away.
That man Lubosh who was murdered, what was he like?
He was a drunk who was always looking for a fight. Nobody liked him much, but I wouldn't wish an end like that on any man.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, now I think of it, I hadn't seen him around for a while. No idea where he was skulking.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
Not a clue.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time with, relatives or friends?
He was a loner. He didn't even have any mates in the tavern.
That's all. Thank you.
I hope I can be of help to you, Knight.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know nothing about it, but ask all you want.
That man Lubosh who was murdered, what was he like?
I didn't really know him. He kept to himself, even in the tavern.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Well, come to think of it, he was in church yesterday. He was even talking to the priest and went to confession. I was wondering what he was up to take to the faith all of a sudden. But I suppose no sin's too dark for God's mercy.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
I was coming from the tavern very late that night, and I caught a glimpse of someone entering the village. He looked like he was in a hurry. It was only a shadow against the sky, but after what happened, I wouldn't wonder.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time with, relatives or friends?
Not with anyone from the village. He used to sit in the tavern next to us sometimes, but he never said much.
That's all. Thank you.
What is it? Hey! Good health to you.
Is there somewhere I could sleep here?
All right. For how long?
Just the one night?
All right.
Here you go.
You all like it here. Like sleeping on a cloud, it is.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanush of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
I don't know nothing about it, but ask all you want.
That man Lubosh who was murdered, what was he like?
I didn't really know him.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Come to think of it, he was in church yesterday. I was wondering what he was up to.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Come to think of it, he was in church yesterday. He was even talking to the priest and went to...
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
I was coming from the tavern, He looked like he was in a hurry.
Do you know anyone Lubosh used to spend time with? Relatives or friends?
Not with anyone from the...
That's all. Where do I go to sleep?
You'll have no trouble finding it. Right inside the door to the building, there's a ladder up to the loft. Your bed's ready there, and a trunk for your belongings.
Is there anything suspicious going on in these parts?
Indeed, there is.
Here.
Around here? You should hear about what Vashek the groom has been up to at the stables. When the head groom told the lads here, they fell off their seats laughing. Oh, and another thing. Just last night, Father Godwin was here, calling fire and brimstone down on old Gertrude, the herb woman. He's not one to make a fuss over some trifle either.
live here?
Of course.
I mean here, in the presbytery.
Yeah, right here.
In the presbytery? With the parish priest?
Yes. What's the matter? Don't you like me?
Yes, of course I like you.
So why are you surprised Godwin likes me too?
I'm not. I mean, I see. I think. The blessings of our... Can I ask you if...
It seems
Did you know, Lou?
a bit of a loss.
Did you notice it?
My child.
That's really...
I'm sorry to hear it.
Do you know...
Unfortunately,
What?
I'm bound by...
Vows more...
There are law...
Father.
There are...
But Lubosh...
If I told... If people...
Worse than the...
No one is...
Father, Lou... If I don't find out...
I wouldn't. Suppose we...
All right. Thank you, Father. Do you have any work that needs doing?
My dear lad, I have more worries than I can bear. Another pair of shoulders would ease my burden. I have to deal with a local witch.
A witch?
The herb woman, old Gertrude. That devious hag who will stoop to anything. Like all herbalists, for that matter.
Oh, don't tell me. The cows are giving blood instead of milk, and babies are being born with 2 heads and a tail.
This is no laughing matter. Gertrude isn't evil. She just has peculiar ideas about what's good for people. A little bird told me she incited some Ujet's women to witchery.
What do you want me to do?
I want you to go and see her and find out what she's been up to. I know she lives in fear of the Holy Church, so tell her I sent you. That will make her talk and think twice about encouraging witchcraft. If you learn that she truly did involve folk in some foolishness, find out all you can and deal with it.
Consider it done.
Good. And never fear. I'm a man who always pays his debts. You'll find Gertrude, the old herb woman, in the woods.
You live here?
Of course.
I mean here, in the presbytery.
Yeah, right here.
In the presbytery? With the parish priest?
Yes. What's the matter? Don't you like me?
Yes, of course I like you.
So why are you surprised Godwin likes me too?
I'm not. I mean, I see. I think.
God bless.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Ask all you want, lad.
Who was this Lubosh who was murdered?
Those that live by the sword die by the sword. I'm not surprised the end he came to.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
Everything about him was suspicious. I always gave him a wide berth.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
How would I know?
Do you know who Lubosh used to spend time with? Kin or friends?
I don't know, since I don't go to alehouses.
That's all. Thank you.
I've come from the priest. They're saying you incited some women to witchcraft.
Me? Witchcraft? That's nothing but idle chatter.
You'd be wise to give me a straight answer. I mean you no harm.
As long as it's the truth you speak. Very well. I'll tell you everything. I've done a very foolish thing. It's preying on my mind so much I can't sleep a wink.
But I'm supposed to believe an old witch has pangs of conscience.
Laugh if you like, but it's not a word of a lie. You probably know I sell various magic lotions and potions alongside my herbs. Well, there's one I wish I hadn't sold. You see, Vera, Zlata, and Kuta from Uzhitz wanted a magic ointment from me. I kept refusing them, but in the end I let them talk me into it.
What kind of ointment was it?
One that will show you a world no one else can see, a place of wonder and terror. The flowers might start talking to you, or the earth could swallow you up. I don't know if it's the work of the devil or of God himself, but the ointment has that power. But it could poison any person who doesn't know how to use it right.
So all this talk of witches anointing themselves and then flying to their sabbaths on broomsticks.
The ointment could make a person see such things. But it was stupid of me letting those foolish women get their hands on it. They could poison themselves or fall off a cliff while they're lost in a dream.
I want to know something else. So why did you give them the ointment at all?
Because I'm soft-hearted. You see, one of those women, Vera, lost her whole family in Skalitz. And Zlata's husband was killed. And the youngest of them, Kuta, miscarried with the horror of it all. They said they wanted to use the ointment to speak with the dead and ask them to put a word in with the Lord.
Yeah. I understand how they feel. But I reckon it'll get them nowhere but the ducking stool and the stake.
Judge not, lest ye be judged. I didn't want to give them the ointment, but they offered me a pile of groschen. So I thought how desperate they must be, and I heard their plea.
Their plea or the clink of their coin? And why are you so worried about them all of a sudden? What changed your mind?
I'm losing sleep over it. Firstly, those women don't know what they're doing. And secondly, folk might see it as witchcraft. And do you know what they do to witches?
They burn them alive.
That they do. So don't be surprised I'm worried.
It didn't bother you before, though. What did they want the ointment for?
Each one of them lost a loved one recently, and it's grieving them. They wanted to talk with the dead.
What kind of ointment was it?
One that will show you... I don't...
So all this talk...
The ointment...
Will you give me the ointment recipe?
It contains belladonna and the herb Paris, both quite poisonous plants. That ought to make you think twice about dabbling with it.
I've heard enough.
If you've heard enough, you must understand why I need your help. Find out from those women what they intend, and watch over them to keep them safe.
Very well. But only because the priest himself asked me to.
Thank you 1,000-fold. I'll go to the Reverend myself and explain. You take care of those women.
I've heard some...
Really?
The priest is worried.
The priest? It's nice to find out what telltales you have for neighbours. But believe me, it's none of your business. Or the priest's.
What's that?
That's enough. What I've heard already amounts to a burning offence.
Burning? Because of some ointment? We mean no harm to anyone. All we do is anoint ourselves at night in the woods. That's no great witchcraft. And you keep your nose out of things that don't concern you.
What are you doing there?
It came from over here.
I've come in the name of Sir Hanish of Lipa. I'm investigating the massacre in Neuhof, and now a murder here as well. Can I ask you a few questions?
Ask away.
Who was this Lub?
He was a drunkard and a beast, and lazy too. Idle hands are the devil's tools.
Have you noticed anything suspicious recently?
The only thing seemed suspicious was how a rogue like him suddenly started going to church. Now I see why, of course.
Do you know what Lubosh was doing the day Neuhof was raided?
What do I care about that scoundrel?
Do you know who Lubosh used?
He was always a loner. Except lately.
That's all. Thank you.
I heard something about a magic ointment that you got from the herb woman.
You heard that where? And what business is it of yours?
The herb woman sent me.
Gertrude? What does she want? Haven't we paid her enough?
She'd like to know just what you're planning to do with it. She's worried about you.
What made her change her tune? You can tell her.
What in the...
I've come in the name of Sir Hanish.
Ask all you want, lad.
Who was...
Those that live by the sword.
Have you noticed?
Everything about him.
That's all. Thank you.
I've heard something about a magical ointment.
What? Who told you that? Was someone asking around?
It might interest...
The priest? Who's been telling him stories?
What I've heard already amounts to a burning offence.
Wait. Really?
If someone buys witching ointment, what am I supposed to think they want it for? Let me take a wild guess. Witchcraft. And witches deserve to burn.
We're doing no wrong. We go to the woods alone, at night, and we hurt no one. I won't say any more. You might twist it against us.
Be a bit more careful. What is it?
You serious?
I'm sorry I can't tell you everything. But maybe we can work something out. But first I'd like to hear something about you, my son. With whom do I have the honor? Where are you from?
I'm from Skalitz.
ale over here, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. What about your kin?
They're dead.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. Here, we'll drink to them. It must have been terrible.
It was terrible. It seemed so pointless. We had no warning. They just appeared and began the slaughter. God knows why. They killed anyone who didn't make it to the shelter of the castle. My parents, my girl, even the Deutsch who was on Sigismund's side. I didn't make it to the castle. I wanted to try and help my parents, but there was nothing I could do. Then I fled to Talmberg with the Cumans on my heels. They almost killed me. They slaughtered people in the surrounding villages. There was a pile of bodies in front of the church in Rovna. Folk who tried to take refuge there, but they...
My poor child. May God grant them eternal rest. And how did you come to get this assignment? I'd have expected Sir Hanish to send that old grouch, Bernard.
You think I'm too young for the job, Father?
I do, to tell the truth.
Well, I can only apologise for my lack of grey hair and gout.
Now the most important thing. What actually happened at Noyo? The good folks hereabout are saying all kinds of terrible things, but I take most of it with a pinch of salt.
The rumours aren't exaggerated this time, unfortunately. The Neuhof stud farm was raided by bandits, but they didn't come to pillage or even take the horses. They only wanted to kill. They maimed the horses and slaughtered some people. I'm sure they would have killed more, but the bandits quarrelled among themselves and broke off the attack. And judging by what's left of our Lubosh, they're still settling accounts.
I see it's every bit as bad as people claimed. Dreadful. Well then, here's to those poor souls who had to die so pointlessly and so terribly.
I've told you all about me. Now it's your turn, Father. You don't look much like our parish priest at home.
I notice there's a woman living with you at the presbytery.
What of it? Have you never met a cleric who lives with a woman before? Mother Church won't let me take her to wife. Too afraid it might lose its property to any heirs she bore me. But she cooks and cleans. And, well, as a man, I have my needs.
I'm not sure the parish priest at St. James would agree with you.
I heard he was a bit odd.
Well, we've had an agreeable chat, but now let's get down to business. So, about this confessional seal. Do you really want more innocent people to die?
Henry, that's not how it works. There are matters in which you can't make exceptions because if you do it once, you'll forever be tempted to do it again. If people stop believing in the church because their confessional secrets are betrayed, they won't trust anyone, and that's worse than even the most hideous crime.
I understand, but that means I've reached a dead end. Those cutthroats will strike again, and I can't stop them.
Chin up, lad. I might have a solution.
What?
If I tell you what Lubosh told me, I'd be betraying the confessional secret. But, first thing tomorrow, I'll try something I think might help you.
Word of honor?
On my soul.
I always wondered about the things a priest tells his congregation. Where on earth do you get the ideas for your sermons?
Well, Ujits isn't Prague. It's not enough to instruct people. They have to be entertained, too. If I only read from the Bible, I'd soon be preaching to an empty church.
Our priest wasn't exactly a bard. So what do you preach to your flock about?
It has to be something topical. Condemning vices. And, of course, describing them in detail. A tongue-lashing about the two popes goes down well these days. And stories from real life, with a nice moral to them, are popular as well. Especially if they're about fornication and similar scandalous vices.
Can you give me an example?
Well, recently a priest by the name of Jan Hus started preaching in Prague, in the Czech language, and the people liked it. I hear he always has a full house. A journeyman who heard him told me what Hus is preaching, and I like the sound of it. I'm thinking about putting it in my own repertoire.
What's so amazing about it?
The preaching of Master Jan Hus about Mother Church. The lamentable wealth in which the Church is drowning has turned to poison, and nearly the whole of Christendom is contaminated. Just like a flock of hungry ravens, they settled on this land to devour every grain of gold and silver. They know no mercy. Their hearts are corrupted by longing for wealth, and they shamelessly profit from everything. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay and you will have absolution. What if the devil himself were to pay? Would he ascend to heaven too? With such money gained from the poor, they buy beautiful horses to ride and needless servants to pamper them. They gamble at dice and dress their whores in expensive fur, while Jesus Christ walked barefoot and had no place to lay his head. Look to your consciences, you robbers of the poor, for you are seen by God and his people too. Amen.
Well, this Jan Hus character is quite a rebel.
Oh, the congregation will love it.
I don't doubt it.
Let's drink to that.
Funny. That last bit reminds me of someone.
What do you mean? My situation's completely different. Huth preaches against the prelates and the clerics who are robbing the poor. Look at me. I don't have a pot to piss in. I'm no better off than the folk I preach to. I'm one with them in poverty and suffering and everything that troubles them. I drink with them and curse those stuffed habits in Sasau Monastery.
Don't you think it's a bit odd when someone boozes and lives in sin with a woman and then criticises the Pope for debauchery?
No, I don't.
What do you think of this Jan Hus?
He's certainly a wise man. A little overzealous for my taste. If he got out of Prague and came here for a look, I'm sure he'd stop condemning drinking and lying with women.
Where can I find out more about his teachings?
You like it? I copied down some of his sermons. If you're interested, you can read them at my presbytery.
What do the common folk think of it?
They like it. They're happy to hear someone say what they think themselves, but are afraid to say aloud. Things that make them angry. And they're calling for change. In a few years, it'll have grown beyond control. You mark my words, the people will rise up and the church will be shaken to its very foundations.
Yeah, unless they burn him at the stake first.
Nonsense. They can't burn a master of the most respected university in Europe.
Thanks for the sermon, but I think I've been morally uplifted enough. It's getting quite late. What are your plans, Father?
What do you suppose? We have a drink, of course.
That sounds like a good plan.
I knew you wouldn't let me down.
Przyszła bida mora lat, to nie ustoi żadnej chlap. Na kraj padł dziesięć smutek, grudnielo i rano utek, niech już małżeński majstak, do wczera żylne saje prak. Už sejmo i svatý muži, nechtěl bych bejbě i kůži. Nám je to jedno a tak si dáme jedno a požerem si huby jako poslední den. Půjďme se bávit a do rána slávy a tak vypal sudy a posaď se mi sem. Tak posaď se sem a vypal je ven. Ukaž kozy jako vozy, zítra jen tu soudnej den. Tak nalej mi hned, ať točí se svět.
Enough of this! Bailiff! Come on over here, sit down and have a drink with us.
Don't vex me again, Father. It's 3 hours past dusk, and curfew is long gone.
So what?
So, I'll have you all whipped, and put in the stocks, and I'll write a letter to the bishop about you, priest.
Well, nothing to worry about then. Everyone knows the only one around here who can write is me.
Enough! Men, throw them out. Oh.
You looking for a fight? Henry, back me up.
God!
Watch the step, my dears. Careful, you don't hurt yourself.
Godwin, you're a buffoon. What the hell are you doing?
Here we are. Look at this beauty.
Oh. We can't do this, can we?
Who says? Get ringing, wench.
This is wonderful.
Ah, bloody oath. And now, my dears, comes the climax of the evening.
Godwin, you old goat.
Come here.
The priest has mounted up. What do you say, Henry? Shall we take a little ride of our own? Well, I have to say that was a fine evening.
Godwin, you beast! Get up! Do you hear me? Wake up, you drunkards!
Oh, fucking hell. Where the... Oh, what the... Oh, who the hell are you? Oh, Henry. My great friend, Henry. Didn't we have a wonderful time?
Well, you certainly did, you old lecher. Now you better pull yourself together quick. You haven't much time. There's some water and something to eat on the table there, but if I were you, I would move my hairy arse before my flock eats me alive.
Oh, step on in my head. My guts. Oh, my poor suffering stomach. Oh, what was that woman on about? Before my flock eats me alive. I've forgotten something. What have I forgotten?
Where the fuck am I?
What the fuck was it? Oh. Mass! Oh shit, I have to say mass. I gotta say mass. You have to help me.
How? You're the priest.
I can't do it in this state. Maybe the liturgy. But I have to give a sermon as well. Oh, this is a disaster. They're gonna excommunicate me.
I'd like to help you, but...
You can. You can do the sermon for me.
What? So, first I investigate a murder no one wants investigated. Then I drunkenly keep the whole town up all night. And now you want me to preach at them from the pulpit? Do you want them to burn us at the stake?
No. No, I've got it. Suppose that Sir Ratzig's protege. You just came from studying in Prague. And you want to share the words of Master Jan Hus, who you recently heard preaching there. Henry, look. From what I remember, we might have overdone it a bit last night. And if the bailiff or someone else complains about me, the bishop's gonna have my guts for garters. So I'd appreciate it if you stopped gaping at me like a stuffed squirrel and start helping.
You're mad. You're stark raving mad.
I'm not. It's a perfect plan. It's flawless. Oh. How about this? If you help me with this, I'll tell you who Lubosh's cronies are.
Well, all right. But I can't make any promises about what'll happen.
No, neither can I.
What do you want me to do exactly?
I'll go and start the liturgy. Then I'll introduce you. You give the sermon I told you yesterday in the tavern, and that's that. No need to drag it out. If it turns out well, I'll tell you what I know about Lubosh.
Christ almighty. Fine then. We have a deal.
Wonderful. Let's get to it then.
Brothers and sisters.
Boy, is it...
One should not believe in the...
He's right.
It is the corruption of God's pastors here on earth that has brought misfortune on our heads. Plague, cumens, hunger, and chaos. The accursed wealth that the church is drowning in is poisoning almost the whole of Christendom. When dogs are fighting over a bone, take the bone and they will stop. just like the flock of ravens that has descended on this land to peck up every speck of gold and silver. They show no mercy. Their hearts are poisoned by covetousness. They trade everything. Everything is for sale. You want to baptize a child? Pay. You want to steal and murder? Pay, and you will have absolution. And the prelates sin and give themselves absolution.
For shame, shame upon them.
And such sins, those who should lead with reason, who should shun debauchery and show the path of righteousness, which is the duty of all priests, instead they indulge in drunkenness and intoxication. Therefore the apostle says that a bishop may not be a drinker of wine, and parish priests must be sober. And it is written that when a bishop is a drinker of wine, he must be deposed, and a priest who drinks must be punished or deprived of his priesthood.
He's talking about Godwin.
Enough about sin, which the prelates are so fond of preaching about, and whose What if the devil himself were to pay? And what about those? They play Look to your...
Down with the prelate!
We're fortunate to have our good father Godwin!
God sees what is happening on earth, and he is filled with righteous wrath that those who should seek the salvation of souls instead seek mammon and the idle comfort of lucrative posts. Blessed are the shepherds who share the poverty of their flock, who are as one with you and bear with you the burden of this earthly pilgrimage, who do not condemn your venial sins.
Oi! All honor to Godwin! Let him drink like one of us!
That is all I heard in Prague. Amen.
The lad spoke well, considering what a soak he is.
He's right, that was.
The young man shouldn't drink so much, but the Lord's given him a silver tongue.
I don't suppose I'll ever get to Prague. I told him nicely.
Well, well, my boy, you have talent, and I can't deny it. And you pulled a thorn from my side. I almost didn't make it.
Yeah, I noticed. I wasn't the only one.
Oh, what's to be done? I'll make it up somehow.
So, about our bargain.
Although it's a sin.
So's gluttony. And fornication.
God does forgive a penitent.
So, what did Limpy Lubosh tell you? Was he at Neuhof that day? Who was with him? And where are they now?
Now, slow down. I'm sorry, but he didn't tell me that much.
Don't let me down after all I've been through. For you...
Well, now Lubosh came to me shortly after it happened. His conscience was gnawing at him. And I must say, in the end, he turned out to be a better man than he looked. He said they'd been hired through some crony of theirs. And at first they were just to steal some horses. But then it all turned sour and people started getting killed. And neither he nor his cronies wanted anything to do with that. So they fell out from the gang and fled.
Fell out?
Yeah, there was a body found in the woods by Neuhof.
That would explain something. Lubosh kept jabbering that he wasn't a murderer, that he didn't want to do it.
So I know that Lubosh killed the murderer and he's dead too. The trouble is, I need to find the ones who are still alive. I need names and places. Did he mention any of the others?
Only nicknames. Talked about some fella called Riki from Ledechko, Pius, Timmy.
Pius. That lot are about as pious as I am ordained.
Nonsense. You would make an excellent priest. And anyhow, with your skills, you ought to be able to sniff out this Riki from Ledechko, right?
Well, we'll have to now. There's not much else to go on. Let's hope he's not hanging from the wall too.
Indeed. And I'd hate to be excommunicated for nothing. Anyhow, good luck. You watch out for yourself. These people clearly mean business. And I'd like to raise a tankard with you again sometime.
Yeah, I'll try. Although I'm not sure I'd survive another night of your debauchery.
And if anyone should ask, you heard nothing from me. I'll deny everything.
I don't doubt it.
Not at all. But we should put the ointment on now. It takes a while to start working.
Where exactly do you put it on?
Well, there. You know?
I feel shy.
So playing games with the devil is all right, but dabbing some ointment on your cunny is going too far.
Aye, well, don't peek for a bit. I'm not sure.
Don't worry. Plenty of women have tried it before us.
What if it does work? What if he does appear?
But that's what we want, isn't it? Let's go. We're here. We all know what to do.
Lucifer, deliver us of the humans. Here and now, come among us. Take what you want and let Sigismund and the humans die of the plague like mangy dogs. They killed our husbands and children. Let them die. Let them go back whence they came. Back to hell. Come, Satan, and take us.
Hush now. Do you hear that? There really is somebody in those bushes. Come among us. You there? Are you Lucifer? Doesn't matter who you are. Come here.
You dreamt it.
O Prince of Exiles, you who the world has treated wrong, who rise again undaunted and...
I hear someone coming. Who's there? Is it you, Kuta?
No, I'm still over here.
What's going on here?
Welcome, Prince of Darkness. And make yourself at home.
What would you like us to do? We will fulfill your every wish if you fulfill ours.
Prince of Darkness? What in God's name are you babbling about?
Why are you testing us?
Testing you? Jesus Christ, what have you been smearing on yourselves?
A magic ointment from the herb woman? We are ready to pleasure you, Lord. In return, all we ask is that you rid us of the humans. And if you won't rid us of them, then help us get away from here. Give us riches, so we can start a new life in the city.
I'll give you anything you ask.
I knew it. Thank you, my lord.
In return, you'll have to... Shit. I feel very weird.
Oh, that ointment. You smeared the ointment on me.
Fear not, my lord. Nothing will happen to you. It's all part of the ceremony.
Oh, shit. What the fuck? What did you do to me?
Are you quite well after your long journey?
Huh? Long journey? What?
From the gates of hell to here. When will you take care of the humans? And why don't you have horns and hooves and a goat's tail, like the priest said?
How come you're a talking mare?
What mare? Does your sight deceive you? I'm Vera, and I turn many a young man's head in Uzhitz.
I got rid of my horns and hooves along the way, and I keep my tail in my breeches. I only get it out for special occasions.
I hope there'll be one soon enough.
Actually, I wanted something else.
What's that, oh Lord?
Will you serve me and do all I tell you to?
Oh yes, our Lord of Hellfire. We'll do whatever you want. Just rid us of those wretched humans. Which one will you take first?
Me! Take me!
No, me.
And what about the other one? Why doesn't she speak up?
Kuta, you chicken! Speak up!
I want you, Mare. Vera.
I knew it. Come on. Come closer to me.
That was tough. Oh, but I'm all dizzy again.
What is wrong with you? Is something going to come of it or not?
I need to sleep.
Bugger sleep! What was that? What is it? Someone coming!
Look what's come crawling out from under some rock. Great. I'm gonna enjoy this. What the hell was that?
Answer me.
I found out more about the Ujit's witchcraft.
Pray, do tell.
The women have got hold of some magic lotion from the herb woman, and they're using it to summon the devil.
For the love of heaven.
I followed them to where they held their Sabbath. They summoned the devil, danced around a fire.
Oh my God, what else?
The women were completely out of their minds from that ointment. Then some woodcutters stormed in. They wanted to put a stop to the witch's Sabbath.
Good God. And what happened?
I had to kill the woodcutters to save those women from them.
For Christ's sake! How could you? Such needless slaughter! Those men meant well. Was there no other way to stop the bloodshed?
The woodcutters were beside themselves with rage, baying for the women's blood. There was no reasoning with them.
There must have been another way.
I couldn't. I'm so sorry.
I can hardly fault you. It's my fault, too, for letting things slide so far. I should have taken care of the herb women and those poor women myself. Pray for the souls of those unfortunate Christians. Pray, because you have blood on your hands. At least you see where dancing with the devil can take you. Pray for their loved ones and for your soul and mine, because we share the blame. And now please, go. Leave me alone to pray.
Watch where you're going.
I was at the Ujit's women's Sabbath.
And how did it turn out?
The women were making such a ruckus, the woodcutters took them for witches and burst in on them. They meant to kill them.
Jesus Christ. And how did it end?
I killed them all.
Killed them? God Almighty. You killed the men who went to see what all the noise was about?
I didn't have much of a choice. There was no talking with them. They were determined to kill the witches. I'm so sorry.
Holy Mother of God, you're my witness I meant no harm. Forgive my sins and have mercy on me in my final hour. And as for you, you'd better go.
Would you teach me something about medicinal herbs?
Certainly.
I'd like to practice the basics.
All right, but it'll cost you. Now, pay close attention.
Would you teach me some...
Certainly.
I'm interested in more advanced techniques.
Wouldn't you rather learn the basics first?
Well,